Colonel Richard Lynch to answer some of the questions that many people have asked, and the questions, frankly, are calculated to embarrass you. The first question is, since you are director of the Civil Defense Organization in Los Angeles, what would happen if a hydrogen bomb fell on the city of Los Angeles?
Well, I think the first obvious answer is that a great many people would lose their lives, and there would be a great many more people who would be injured. I think that is a fact that we must face, but at the same time we must also realize there will be a great many people who are alive, those who can help and those who need help.
Then you officially recognize the fact then that many people undoubtedly would be killed.
I'm sure that that would be the case, just the same as if an earthquake struck our city without warning. We can expect to have people injured and killed, and of course this is no different if we had an atomic weapon dropped on it.
Now, if one of these bombs does fall, many people, of which frankly I will be one, will be frantically scurrying in all directions. Who is going to be brave enough or left behind to take charge of what's left?
Well, that is, of course, one of the basic reasons for a civil defense program, and that is to develop leadership who will not panic at a time of disaster, and to train and educate as many people as possible in the various skills that are necessary at a time of hospitals, attendants, and so forth, those who can be in a position to assume leadership and to help.
All right, now you have spoken to many people, but we have, if not too overly paid, at least a paid police and fire department. Is this not their responsibility, and why can't they do it?
Well, I'm sure that we can depend and will have to depend in great measure upon our regularly constituted agencies of government, such as the police, the fire department, the Department of Public Works, and others. But they alone are not enough. They will need help. They will have to be augmented just as we would augment any other division. There will have to be trained leadership and volunteers to assist the law enforcement agencies, the fire department, and others.
Well, now we're talking defensively. We've assumed the damage has been done. I think a more important question is, are there any steps that we can take to enhance our chances of surviving this?
I'm sure there can, and I'm sure that we are all aware that perhaps one of the first steps that's being taken on a national level, of course, is to provide military defenses, military offenses and defenses which are designed to prevent such an attack from ever happening. But in addition to that, we must develop better capabilities of survival of our civilian populations. And this would lead to the consideration of the construction of a natural shelter program. That is a shelter program on a national level which could increase the chances of survival of a great segment of our population.
Well, now, do you think that actually there is a definitive possibility that this can happen, that a hydrogen bomb can be dropped? Should we operate under that assumption genuinely, or should we assume that there's a stalemate?
I'm sure that it would be a mistake to assume that atomic weapons can never be dropped upon this nation. I'm sure that Russia does have the capability, they have the means of delivery, and we should therefore assume that such a strike is possible.
All right, and if this does materialize, people ought to know, I think, at least one thing that they should do and bear in mind to protect themselves. Is there any one rule of thumb or one set of things that people can bear in mind?
Well, I think it is more than one thing to bear in mind. Of course, one of the most important things is to have a plan for yourself and your family. You should, of course, not panic. One of the worst factors at a time of any disaster, either enemy-caused or major natural disasters, is the inclination to panic. And panic is controlled through education by knowing what you can do and what your family can do for themselves if they are among those who survive.
Ahead of time.
That is correct. Now is the time to prepare for any such eventuality as an enemy attack, and I keep emphasizing also in the event of a major natural disaster.
This is a grossly unfair question to ask, but this won't stop me from asking it. As director of the Civil Defense, do you think it is an effective organization?
I don't believe that civil defense is an effective organization. That is, it is not effective as it should be. A great deal more can be done, but I think we mentioned earlier in the interview here that the federal government has spent vast sums of money on defensive and offensive weapons, and that is as it should be, because preventative medicine is the most important thing. But we do have to step up and improve and increase our civil defense program throughout the nation.
Colonel Richard Lynch, we appreciate your comments. They were very